Hey guys, John here from Sonic Drive Studio. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. So I'm selling my Neural DSP Quad Cortex, and in this video I'm going to talk about why I'm getting rid of the Quad Cortex and what I'm getting instead. Let's start at the beginning. Why did I get a Quad Cortex in the first place? Well, firstly, obviously I am a fan of guitar gear, and the Quad Cortex is that brand new toy that everybody was raving about on the internet, so I just wanted to try one for myself. I already own a Line 6 Helix and a Fractal Audio XFX3, so it's not that I needed it per se, but the capture capability of the Quad Cortex especially was intriguing to me. To basically have a multi-effects unit with amp models and capture capabilities is pretty cool. It was pretty cool to me that you could add multiple captures in one preset, and it also seemed to be the case that the captures in the Quad Cortex tend to be more accurate than the Kemper, which I simply did not have great experiences with myself. And I also just wanted to get one for the channel, to show you guys and to make some videos with and do some amp comparisons with and stuff like that. So I got my Quad Cortex last year or so, and one thing that I really enjoyed about working with the unit is the touch screen. It's a lot of fun to work with, and I think that it's a great feature. It's definitely not perfect, but it's fun indeed and it feels great to use. Now, I wasn't and still am not completely sold on the built-in amp models. I mean, don't get me wrong, they sound fine, you can get some great tones out of them, but when I compare the accuracy of the built-in amp models to something like the Helix, for example, the Helix is simply more accurate. It sounds closer to my actual tube amplifiers, usually when I do a comparison. Not in every case, but in terms of accuracy and consistency, the Helix is more accurate. This is just my personal opinion, of course, based on my personal experience, and your opinion may differ. And again, I'm not saying that they are bad, absolutely not. You can get some great tones out of them, but in comparison to my real amps, they just don't seem to be that accurate. Now, I'm not a very heavy effects user, but the built-in effects that I tried sounded fine to me. Especially the built-in pitch shifting and whammy seemed very good to me. Very good tracking and stuff like that. So that was a really nice touch as well. So the capture tech definitely is impressive when you compare it to the Kemper. Some amp captures came out very accurately with the Quad Cortex, while the Quad Cortex struggled with others. A couple of examples of amplifiers that the Quad Cortex could simply not capture accurately are my Hughes & Kettner Tubemeister Deluxe 40 on the lead channel, and the Victory Super Kraken on the Gain 2 channel. For some reason, the Quad Cortex just cannot do it. No matter what I tried, I just could not get an accurate capture. Some amps were okay, but not really close, while others are pretty damn close. So it's kind of a hit or miss situation. Again, that's just my personal experience, but overall, I do think that the capture technology in the Neural DSP Quad Cortex is quite cool and definitely a step up from something like the Kemper. And I absolutely applaud Neural DSP for adding that capture tech to the Quad Cortex, as it adds a lot of value to the unit. Now, since Tonex by IK Multimedia came along, I haven't felt the need to make any more captures with the Quad Cortex, to be honest, since the results that I'm getting with Tonex are more consistent and more accurate across the board. So since Tonex is now my preferred method of capturing amps, I started to use the Quad Cortex less and less. The only reason I still kept it was basically to use it in the odd YouTube comparison here and there. And I admit it would have been fun to keep the unit and to use it sometimes in amp versus capture comparisons and stuff like that. But then again, it cost me quite a lot of money, so I just couldn't justify keeping it for that sole purpose. So the positives are that it's a cool modeler with cool built-in amp models, although the stock captures that they've loaded in here in a lot of cases are more accurate than the built-in amp models. So it is great that they decided to include a lot of captures in the unit itself. The capture tech is cool and definitely handy to have in a device such as this. It's a fun device to work with the touchscreen and the twistable knobs. And in my experience, the effects were also fine, as well as the routing options and stuff like that. It also works really well as an audio interface, in my experience. However, even after the recent update, I still am not a fan of the file management. It's quite annoying if you want to batch edit IRs or captures If you want to delete a bunch of captures, you can't select 10 at the same time, for example. You have to delete them all by hand, which is quite annoying. I also think that the IR length should be longer. For such a powerful unit, I think that IR accuracy is important. So there is still some room for improvement in the IR area as well as the file management, in my opinion. And the fact that there still is no PC editor out is also not good, in my opinion. A lot of people want to hook this up to their computer and just edit the unit through their computer, just as you're doing with your Helix and your AxeFX and so forth. And while the capture tech is great, there still is room for improvement of accuracy there. So it's going to be interesting to see if Neural DSP makes the capture tech more accurate and continues to work on improving it. Although it would not surprise me if they came out with a capture plugin soon to compete with Tonex. But that remains to be seen. I also don't like how adding more capture blocks to the chain adds more latency. That's just weird to me. And in my case, the Wi-Fi connection isn't really strong, so you have to be quite close to the Wi-Fi source in order for the unit to have a solid connection. It does the job most of the time, but sometimes it just could not really connect or download and upload files. I also think it's poor that Neural DSP promised that this unit would be able to load the Neural DSP plugins inside of the unit. That's a feature that still has not been implemented by Neural DSP, so I don't know what's going to happen there, but that's not good. So I see why people complain about those sort of things. I mean, it's not a cheap unit. That's just my opinion, but I have to be honest with you guys. I have to talk about the positives and the negatives. Keep in mind that this is all very personal. I mean, these are the things that I noticed when I was working with the unit in my studio. Would I recommend the Quad Cortex for people who are looking for a compact and modern guitar amp and effects modeler with some cool modern capabilities, such as the capturing? Definitely, I think it's a great unit overall. You just have to keep the positives and negatives in mind and see if this thing works for you. Now, someone is picking up my Quad Cortex tonight, and after that, this will not be mine anymore. I won't have a Quad Cortex in the studio anymore. And from the money that I'm getting, I want to get something cool for the channel, something that excites me, but also something that will be cool and interesting for you guys. So obviously I was looking at tube amplifiers, and at first I thought, maybe another rectifier would be cool, because I do have gas for rectifiers basically always. You know, there are a bunch of different variations, and I can always use more rectifiers. But there is also a dream amp that I've wanted to have for such a long time, which is the Diesel VH2, the sort of baby brother to the VH4. It's basically more obtainable than a VH4 and a bit more stripped down, but it does some great things, and it seems like a very exciting amp to me. And I've never had a Diesel amplifier, so that's kind of new ground as well. However, they are almost always out of stock in stores where I usually order. So yeah, that was a bit hard. That's basically why I don't have one yet. However, one of my viewers, thank you John, you know who you are, pointed out that there was one in stock in a store in Germany. So I basically snatched that right away, and it should be here within a week, fingers crossed, because it was still available on the Reverb store. So I hope they don't mess up my order, but that's just me being paranoid. So yeah, that should be really cool to finally have a Diesel in the studio, and I can't wait to share some sounds with you guys and to compare it to my other amps and stuff like that, so it should be fun. Again, fingers crossed. Of course, I'm going to keep you guys posted, and I'll do an unboxing video as well and all that fun stuff, so stay tuned. It's probably going to be a double unboxing because I've got another tube amplifier coming in this week, which you guys will also probably enjoy. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed me babbling on about this stuff, but I had to get this out of my system. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, as that really helps the channel out, and it helps to keep you notified of my future releases. And of course, also let me know down below what you want to see me do with the Diesel VH2, and if you understand my reasoning behind getting rid of the Quad Cortex. You can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, by the way. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hope to see you soon. Cheers!